What's up, witches? Oh my God, that is so cool. Can I tell you guys a really funny story? Um, I have recorded, I don't know how many episodes now of the podcast, probably like 25 or something like that. And the entire time I have had my headphones, I got new headphones, first of all. Cool, huh? But I've had my headphones plugged into my laptop and not into the microphone. So I've never been able to hear myself. And I thought that was weird, but I just went with it. But so I've been wearing headphones to record these episodes this entire time, not hearing anything, just wearing them because I feel like they look podcasty, like it looks podcasty to have headphones on. So, so yeah, I've been wearing them for no reason. But I got it together now. We're plugged in to where we're supposed to be, and I can hear myself. It's amazing. So definitely help me out though, because we are in the admin part of the session. So let me know if you can see me okay and if you can hear me okay. Escándalo. I know, June. Like, don't tell anybody. But literally, like, how many episodes we're on the third season. Like, I think there's like 22 episodes or something before this. And I literally have just been sitting here wearing these headphones because I'm like, it's a podcast. So, like, I'm supposed to wear the headphones, you know? And yeah, couldn't hear jack shit. And now I can hear myself, which is crazy. And I can hear a lot. I'm in the shop right now, obviously. So Shop with Chelsea is working on packages and all kinds of stuff. And she'll be coming in and out to do some stuff. So we will have some background noise. So hopefully the better equipment makes it better. I'm getting like a cover thing for it, which will help with sound too. I saw some comments on season two on like Spotify, I think, and someone was like, "Oh, the audio's not great. Mild scratch noise, but it may be the mic picking up your minor movements." Okay, well, we wanna fix that if I can. I beep beep beep. Is it my bracelets? Maybe. I don't hear anything scratchy. Unless it's my voice, which is a little hoarse. Um, but yes, anyone else? I see a few folks in the room. So if anyone else can chime in, let me know what it sounds like, what it looks like on your end. It's always good to have multiple people chime in about the sound and video quality because everybody's watching on different devices with different levels of internet and all that stuff. And it could be someone's device is spotty, so it's good. It sounds like wind on the mic, but barely. Okay, yeah, I'm getting one of those cover things, which I think will make it better. You hear it too when I speak. Okay, good to know. Let me see. Let me try something. Hello. Thank you. I was muted. Thank you very much. Hey, Laurenberg. Hey, Key. What's up? Hey, Millie. Yeah, I was saying I feel like I can hear a little crackle from my lives, and I think that that might actually be my laptop. She's, been holding me down for a good long time. Turn the game down too. She's been holding me down for a good long time, but I dropped her earlier this year. And ever since then, I've noticed like a crackle. So I think the speaker inside might have gotten jostled around a little bit. Not Beyonce mute, right? Listen, I'm proud of myself. Okay, if I'm on Beyonce mute, I'm proud of myself because for whatever reason, people have a real hard time with the Beyonce mute. I've been watching the little clips, I'm disappointed in us, honestly, as a people. Like, I don't know why it's so hard. The Queen Mother said mute. Shut up, but people, I don't know. I think it's a testament to our inability to follow instructions. You know. Thank you, Ginger Snap. How are you? I unmuted, so we should be good to at least hear me. But it's so interesting because I don't hear the crackle at all. And I know I have the headphones in the right place this time because I can actually hear myself, but I don't hear the crackle. So that definitely makes me feel like it's the computer, and it's like that once it gets into the device, there's an issue. So, and the crackle is better too. Okay, good. I plugged into the other side. My computer has two USBs and I plugged into the other side because maybe something over here got kind of whacked out of the way. Yeah, no, right? Like, I wonder if she has this problem internationally. I know this tour happened, is in America now, but she was like overseas at first. And I wonder if like they had as much of an issue with the mute as well. Or is it us? Are we the villains? Is it because America, everyone has to be independent and do their own thing and nobody can just fall in line? I bet you if she was doing the show in like Korea or something like that and she was like everybody on mute, you'd be able to hear a pin drop. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like other countries just know how to just like get together. And Americans, we just can't get together just for like a second. For like a second, can we all just unify and do the same damn thing for a second? No, everybody in America's got to be fucking doing their own thing. We are always the villain, aren't we? And you know what? It's not even an exaggeration. We are the villain. Like, we need to get it together. Okay, excited. Welcome everybody who is here. If you just stumbled into this situation, you have no idea what the hell is going on. I am Alysha Kravetz. I am many things, owner of BronxWitch HeadQuarters and the host of this show, the BetterWitch podcast. And we are recording right now in my shop, BronxWitch HeadQuarters, which is a metaphysical shop and workshare space. And we are going to be meeting today with Reverend Valerie Love, yes, who we all met as the season series show premiere guest co-host, our very first episode, where she talked to us all about being Christian witches and being better at that. Super dope episodes, gotten thousands of views and plays. People, I think, really can relate to the topic, as many of us grew up in Christian households to start. So I'm really excited to have her back with us. And yeah, I won't spoil all the details because I'm about to do our intro and all of that before she joins us in about 10 minutes. But this is our behind the scenes taping of the episode. The audio will be available on podcast platforms later in the fall. So for all of you who follow me here on YouTube, you get this behind the scenes. You get to see all the tech stuff, all the like side banter, parts of the conversation that might get cut out and not make it to the final audio version. So this is kind of a cool little extra something for you guys. So I appreciate you taking advantage and being here. And basically what happens is I'm going to read the intro before Val gets into the room. And because I feel like that's better. It's so weird. I've been on podcasts and like when you're sitting there and they're like reading your bio, you're like, oh, it's so cringy. So we're going to do that first. And then once Val gets here, we'll say our hellos and do some administrative things with her, make sure we're all good, light, sound, etc. And we'll get into the convo, which today is going to be all about being a better sentient witch. And then you'll have an opportunity to ask some questions. So whether you stay for the whole taping or anything like that, you will see at the top of the chat on YouTube, there is a Q&A box where you can drop your question. So definitely drop your question, even if you're not going to stay to the end, because we will take the questions out of the box. We will ask Valerie the questions, and you can always come back and listen for your answer. So make sure to use the box to your advantage and drop any questions that you might have, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay. I got to get back to witching because I'm here in the shop today. How we doing with this new moon energy, by the way? The energy of this Virgo new moon is definitely get your shit together. If you haven't been feeling that, that is the energy I've been feeling, like all the way together. Get your shit, put in a bag, pack it all up, get it all the way together. Get your shit together. All right, so let me go ahead and get through this intro in case I have to do it a couple of times before Val is with us. What's up, witches? Welcome to season 3 of the Better Witch podcast, presented by the Beyond BronxWitch YouTube channel. I'm your host, Alysha Kravetz. I'm a tarot reader, Reiki master, and owner of BronxWitch HeadQuarters, a spiritual shop and workshare space in the Bronx, New York. This season, I'll be coming to you every week with a new topic and a new guest co-host to share our real life experiences as practicing witches. Because when we know better, we witch better. Today's guest co-host is Reverend Valerie Love, also known as Kaisi. Valerie is a teacher, retreat leader, and author of over 20 books on practicing spirituality, the occult, magic, and witchcraft, including the very popular How to Be a Christian Witch. You'll recognize Valerie from the very first episode of season 1, where we discussed being a better Christian witch, and she is back. This time, to talk about being a better sentient witch. You can explore this topic further in her upcoming book, Witch, Divine Alignment with the Primordial Energies of Magic and Cycles of Nature. You can learn more about Valerie at christianwitches.com. How is that, everybody? Good? Clear? Not too many crackles? Millie says, "Phew, the Virgo energy is too much for me. I have almost a dozen Virgos in my circle, and bam, oh, exhausting. Oh my gosh." Listen, you guys know Shop Witch Alexis. Shout out to Shop Witch Alexis. She is our resident Virgo. She gives big Virgo energy, and the last few days leading up to this new moon have just been hectic as hell for her because she's going through a really major shift, and this astrological transit is helping with that. But a lot of times the way the universe helps can be very uncomfortable, very much not in, our plans, I try to remind myself as much as I can that the universe, spirit, whatever you want to call it, is conspiring for my greatest benefit all the time. And so when things happen that are frustrating, inconvenient, etc., I try to remind myself that these things are happening for me, not to me. They're happening so that my greatest good can be achieved. And I just have to surrender to it happening and listen to what spirit is trying to tell me. And oftentimes our plans are not what, necessarily lined up with that stuff. So it can be a conflict, it can be annoying, downright upsetting. Today, Alexis lost her wallet on her way here for her shift. She was going to be recording her new moon sound bowl meditation and everything this afternoon, and all of that had to come to extreme halt. so that she can literally get new everything. But talk about Moon Virgo energy. Lauren Burke says the crackles were minimal. Okay, good, good. I'm definitely going to take my laptop into the Mac bar to see if they can do something about it. Also, this week, my T button, which is the button I use the most, given the amount of wear, you cannot see the letter T on the T button anymore. So clearly, I use it a lot. And it just popped off the other day. So I put a little, like a tiny drop of crazy glue. Hopefully I don't like damage the computer more, but I was like, no, I can't not have the T button, you know? So I'm gonna take it in to fix the T button, but hopefully they can also maybe open her up and see if the speaker or stereo inside kind of got jostled around or something, because all of the equipment that I'm using is either new or like in good working order. So it has to be the computer. That's the last thing. But New Moon Virgo, get your shit together. I'll be making an appointment today. Okay, universe, you do not have to tell me twice. I do not want to see my computer have any more struggles. So I'm not going to wait to take her in to get looked at. Key says, it sounds like you are reading it. You mean the intro? I am reading it. I am reading it. Yeah, that's what's happening. I have show notes. So yeah, I'm very much reading it. Do you not like that? I could try to memorize it, but seems like a lot. When we were recording for season 1 and season 2, I was doing all of this, like, hey Valentonia, I was doing all of this like editing, and we had the behind the scenes for the coven members and all of this stuff, and it was just like a lot going on. And the way I was doing it then, like, I was trying to look at the camera while I was doing the intro, because like there was like the YouTube version of the behind the scenes taping and all that stuff. But now I'm just doing it as one. So like this is the behind the scenes. So you're gonna get all the technical stuff. Nisi, you're taking your kid to Taekwondo class? That's so cool. Welcome, welcome, Val. I see you're in the room. Great to see you. I'm gonna add you to the stream in just a second. Right? Thank you, Key. Thank you for the grace. Thank you. If it was like a, like a web show or what have you, I would memorize it and like, or like have some type of cue card or something behind me or something like that. But, this is the taping, and when the podcast version comes out, like people won't be able to see me, obviously, podcast. So hopefully the intro being read is something they're more like used to, I would think. Okay. All right. I think we'll go ahead and let Val in the room. Hello, hello. How are you?
I am amazing.
You look amazing.
Thank you. Allie, I am so happy to be with you again. I just love
Yes.
it whenever we get to connect. I just love it.
Ooh, I'm really excited. Since our first episode together, I've gotten so many folks who have either popped into my YouTube or have come into the shop even and are like, I saw your episode with Valerie Love. I've been following her for years. I went to her retreats. And so that's been really cool to see folks in your community kind of find me through you. So I am so happy to connect with you again. It's exciting.
Oh my goodness, I love that. I cannot believe that your podcast is already in the 3rd season. Where did the time fly?
Yes, it's so wild too, because I feel like we were just talking to each other, and I'm like, that was like 22, 25 episodes ago, which is just like unbelievable. And I can't even, my whole brain is just soup, doing this whole small business thing for myself and all the things that I have going on. So I can't even remember like what the dates of that were, but I feel like it was early last year, like maybe like early 2022 or something, or maybe mid 2022. I can't even recall.
I think so. Yes.
It's been a
Yes.
while. Yeah.
It's been a while.
Um,
Good to be back.
yeah, so good, good. How have you been since?
Fabulous, going all over the world. I spent a month in Egypt last year.
Yes. How was that?
Profound, especially
Mm.
for witch, magical practitioners, anyone who is a student of the esoteric sciences, as we are, and the occult. It is no words for
Mm.
no.
Mm. I remember seeing one of the many cool videos and posts that you had while you were there and showing us where you could see the Ankh. I think it was the Ankh had been kind of scratched out and changed to a cross. And you could
Yes.
actually see that in the hieroglyphics, how with, Christian conquerors coming into the land, that they had literally just scratched out the Ankh and changed it to a cross. And it was like so cool. I mean, not cool in the sense that it's like, you guys, come on. But it was really cool to like see visually the history, to be able to see how things had changed in that region as a result of the proliferation of Christianity over Egypt and much of the rest of the world. So that was like really, really wild to see. And I feel like I'm obviously not obviously, I am not a Christian, but if I were, how seeing something like that would put a lot into perspective
It
for
would.
me. Because I think that so many of the world's religions are beautiful. I can't think of a religion that I don't think is beautiful, because at their core, they are all, as I understand them, uh, just a collection of rituals and practices and rules that a group of people at a particular point in time said, this is going to help us connect to our higher power and our greatest good.
Mm.
And they just had different recipes for how to do that. But really, it all just comes from the human desire to want to connect to something greater. So I think that just religion in general is beautiful to me. But I do find that where we as a people kind of get into trouble is where religious folks lose perspective, and kind of start to fall into that unfortunate space of believing that their religions come from God themselves, that they've like always been here, and that they somehow are just the only way to do things. And when you see something like that, it's like, oh, no, this is just another way of doing things that some people feel works for them. But there was a different way of doing things maybe before this came along. And I think that just helps to temper maybe some of the fanaticism that can happen amongst the religious. We lose sight of that. Like I remind people all the time, because I think people forget that no, God has not ever created a religion, ever, not
That's right.
once, never,
Never did. It never happened.
never, and never will be. Because I
Mhm.
imagine that God is just like, what? That is so unnecessary. But I do think that sometimes religious folks lose sight of that, that these are practices that were created by human people with human motivations and human agendas. And while their intentions may have been beautiful, in many cases they were still people. And we should like keep that in mind a little bit. And that right there was just like, boom, in your face. There were people here. And then some other people came along and said, no, we're not going to do your thing anymore. And there was no God involved. It was human beings, fighting about whose way should be in control. So that was super cool. I was really glad you showed that.
Oh, I'm so glad, because Egypt is so, it's disorienting in a way,
Mm,
because it
mm,
will do what you described. It will
mm,
break up belief structures, things we've held in our mind that we don't even know we're holding, things that maybe we were taught for people who were in a Christian experience, or even who were in a Jewish experience, or even an Islamic experience, since these three are very closely related. So Egypt is mind blowing,
mm.
especially when you are in the energetic space of the temples and you know what was going on in these temples, and you understand the gods and goddesses that were at play, the mythos of Egypt. It carried right into the Bible. So
Right.
there's a story about Isis who hid her son, Horus or Heru, in the reeds in the Nile River to protect him from her brother Set, who was trying to kill him. So does that story
Mm.
sound familiar?
Wow, that
So
sounds so familiar.
yeah, like Moses, right?
Right.
So
Wow.
when we hear there's nothing new under the sun, that's true. There's nothing new under the sun. And you know why I love these myths and why I love the Bible? I don't love the Bible because I think it's the literal word of God. I do not. I love the Bible because it has preserved Zoroastrian thinking, Egyptian thinking. We even have a psalm that is a song to the Aten, written by a pharaoh. It preserves for us Roman, Greco Roman mythologies. It brings us the ancient mythologies, even from the flood stories, which date all the way back to Sumerian cultures. So the Bible is the book that has all of this weaved in. We just think that it was invented. Christians think it was invented with Jesus. It was reiterated. It's the same dying and rising God. It's the same birth, as some amazing, miraculous birth. There are things that repeat, and I believe they repeat because these are deeply meaningful stories for us. They're metaphors that help us to understand
Yeah.
the cosmos, not
Yeah.
to be taken as literal law
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
kill other people over. That's not what we
Right.
do.
Yeah, no, there's a scene in this show called West Wing, I think it was, with Martin Sheen. He was playing the president and did a great job. I remember like being much younger when that show was on and being like, God, I really wish you were my president. Because like this TV president is like so good, he's honorable and but also like gets it done, it was great. And there's a scene where someone who is Christian is basically trying to, assert like their religious beliefs about, I think it was about abortion
Mhm.
into this, into law, into this political sphere. And Martin Sheen's character basically is like, okay, cool. So you think the law of the land should be based on the teachings of the Bible? Sure, no problem. My 12-year-old daughter, or my young daughter, goes to Georgetown. She's incredibly knowledgeable. She's a hard worker. She's, got a great like physical continence or whatever. How much do you think I should sell her for when I sell her off in slavery? Because that's in the Bible too. And he just goes on. He's like, I've got an aide who doesn't observe the Sabbath, and he prefers to come in and work on the Sabbath. Should I do the stoning myself, or would we rather open it up to public stoning? So he just like rattled off some of the stories of the Bible that, if applied literally today, really just would not make any sense. And just to kind of put into perspective why those stories may teach us a lot, and they may be guiding in some way, but they're not intended, I don't think, but even like less than intended, because who knows what the intention maybe of the writers were, but that they just probably shouldn't be adopted in everyday society. They need to play a role for us as individuals. And so, yeah, I got all of that from one little scratched out hieroglyphic.
Isn't the power of a symbol? Yes, the power of
Yes.
a symbol.
Yes. Yeah. We talked to Laura Zackroff about sigils. She's the author of Sigil Witchery, and just like
Mm,
how symbols, there are certain symbols that are timeless, and you don't really even have to like tell a person what they mean or anything. We just kind of know. And there's something very powerful about a symbol, and it's not surprising that we have iconoclasm. When people conquer other people, like the first thing they do is take their sacred symbols and destroy them, scratch them out, replace them with their own. And again, this is all human activity, and people will say, I'm doing this for this God or that God or because God told me, but really, it's human activity, and it's good to keep that like in perspective, I think.
it is. It is. It's difficult for some of us who were raised. I was raised a fundamentalist Christian, Jehovah's Witness. So it
Mm,
is very difficult to deconstruct your whole belief system, because that's
yeah.
really what happened for me. I had to deconstruct the entire belief system, and I was left with one thing. Allie, when I was going through this dark night of the soul and my Saturn return 28, 29, and I could not put things together. I was in this cage of fundamentalist Christianity. I wanted to bust out. I didn't know that I wanted magic at the time. I knew I was connected supernaturally. And
Mm,
when I was going through that experience, I remember very specifically hearing the voice say, "Get up, go outside, look up, breathe."
mm,
The voice, even though I was in the whole fundamentalist Christian thing, and they told us, you're not supposed to hear voices. If you hear voices, it's the devil, right?
right, right.
Right. So it didn't leave space for you to listen to your own guidance that's
Yeah,
coming from within, right? At all
yeah,
times. So I had to deconstruct the whole thing. And I kept one thing. I said, I don't know if Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior. I don't know if church is right, not right, heaven, hell. I don't know. I do know one thing: God is love, because I could feel the love
mm.
of the universe.
Oh
I
my
knew
God, I have a pin that says God is love on one of my bags. It's like right in the
it.
middle. It's like my favorite pin because I feel like that. I totally agree with you. Like if we could all focus on that, I think we would have so much less conflict amongst each other. I
Mhm.
love that. We could obviously go on and on and on about Christianity, Christian witchcraft. You are definitely, for me, the reigning expert on the topic, being the author of How to Be a Christian Witch, and then like 19 more books after that, all touching on or embracing that topic. And I just thank you very much for your body of work and for being a champion of the message that witchcraft is in no way out of alignment with, first of all, the concept that God is love, out of alignment with the idea that God exists or that there is a higher power over us, and is not the dark demonic thing that folks, particularly in Christian circles, would have it to be. So I thank you very much. I think you've done so much good work and have been somebody that people who are in the church and are looking for something more can turn to, not only for education but also for inspiration, because they can see through you how making that departure has transformed and changed your life and brought so many blessings and abundance into your life, and that they don't have to. Nisi, I was thinking about you. Shout out to Nisi, one of our community members. We talk about this a lot in our Witches of Color support groups and things like that, because many of us grew up in Christian households. And it's really beautiful, I think, particularly for people of color, to see someone who was deep in the church say, hey, I did not have to throw away everything that I learned, the values that I hold, the beautiful experiences, the wonderful feeling that I get in praise and worship and community and congregation. I didn't have to give any of that up to be a witch. I
Yeah.
am perfectly able to bring both of those things together in one being. And certainly, folks in either camp might have a hard time understanding how the two go together. And so, you are just so important because you are the living embodiment of how those two things, in fact, intertwine really beautifully, and are not in conflict at all. So I thank you for all that you do, just being you and being open and out about your own journey and your views and your values. I think even beyond what you know and the people who come to you and talk to you, like just there are all these people out there that are just watching you that are okay, I'm not alone. I have the same questions. I have the same concerns. I have the same interests, and I'm gonna be okay.
I'm gonna be okay. I'm not gonna burn in hell. Lightning's not gonna strike
Right.
me. I'm good. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Thank you
And
for
how
that so, so much.
yes. And how can we live the full, authentic life without embracing all aspects of self? The light, the
Mm,
dark, the Christian, the witch. I had a Christian on one side and a witch on this side, and they were at loggerheads. And I had to do something about it. And it wasn't because they're inherently divisive. They aren't. I, my mind had them in two camps because of my
mm,
profession and upbringing. That was all in
mhm,
my mind. And when I dropped what was in my mind for the truth, which I was willing to do, and I'm willing to do at every second,
mhm,
drop what I think it is for what it really is. I
mhm,
saw that there's no inherent conflict between the witch and the Christian. None.
mm.
In fact, we know how many witchy practices are in the Christian church. Yet, most of a lot of pagan practices were co-opted into Christianity. It's a very interesting cultural appropriation, I guess, if people would talk about cultural appropriation.
Right.
Yeah, the Christians have a lot of pagan goodies,
I
going on.
know. I know. You know, my favorite one is the Christmas tree. That's
Oh,
my favorite one just because like I really yes, Valentonia, you removed the post-its. Valentonia is referring to an analogy that I use about self-realization, which is that we come here as this kind of like if you know those paper dolls you used to be able to put
mm,
the little paper clothes on. We come here
mm,
as just like the blank paper doll, and then immediately, even from before we're born, people start sticking post-it notes on us about who we are and what we are, and then we start doing the same to ourselves. And if we can lift those post-it notes off to see what the truth is, we realize that we really all are the same. We're the same energy. We're a scoop out of the same cosmic energy. But the Christmas tree is one of my favorite co-opted pagan practices, only because it is something, especially in America, that is like so hand in hand with Christmas and the supposed birth of Jesus, right? Chris, we have to have Christmas trees, and you see these churches with the biggest trees they can get with lavish decorations on it, and it's like, the Bible specifically said that the children of David are not to cut down trees and affix them in their homes and decorate them with gold and silver because that's a pagan practice. You didn't read that part. Okay, that's fine.
well, I think a lot of Christians don't read most of the Bible.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah.
We know that. We know that. Unfortunately, it's a beautiful book. They really should explore it independently because it's so much. There's so much goodness in there, and there's so much direction for your life. So many stories, so many messages. It really is a shame that oftentimes what people know about the Bible has been told to them by someone else. The church is wild because it's like you go there and someone gives you a Bible. First of all, they tell you which version of it you should read. Then they tell you what part we're going to read today in the sermon. Then they don't even ask you to like sit and quietly read it to yourself. They read it to you so they can emphasize whatever words or jump around to whatever parts they want. And then, as if it wasn't bad enough that they've done all of this, they then go and tell you, okay, here's what to think about what we just read. and And I was talking to someone, and they were like, no, that's not how it is. And I was like, okay, well, if I come to your church and the pastor is reading from the Bible, like, would it be okay if I raised my hand and was like, I have some questions? I have a different interpretation of that passage. Do you know who wrote it or anything like that? And she was like, and I was like, okay, so, right.
Yeah, no, that's not okay.
Not okay at all.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So, well, let's talk about some admin stuff just to make sure everybody knows what's going on. So, again, welcome everyone. If you're just tuning into this conversation, I am Allie Kravetz, and we are taping an episode of the Better Witch podcast for season 3. This episode is going to be titled A Better Sentient Witch, and our amazing and esteemed guest co host is the one and only Reverend Valerie Love, also known as Kaisi. I want to encourage all of you guys that are watching on YouTube right now to utilize the Q&A box, which you can find at the top of the chat. That's the best place to drop your questions. We will take questions for Valerie at the end, and that's a great place to make sure that we don't miss anything. You can definitely drop your questions in the chat. I see we've got some questions already rolling in. So I'll definitely do my best to scroll back, but just to make sure that no one's question gets lost in the sauce in all the chat, try to utilize the Q&A box at the top. That will help. And then for you, Val, as you know, because you're not a stranger to the show, we're video recording right now, and then this will be edited at a later date and aired on podcast platforms, which means we have the freedom to be relaxed. If the doorbell rings, your phone goes off, you need to take a little witch's room break, we can do all of that, because all of that can be edited out in the final. And these are our friends that are in the room. These are folks who are subscribed to this channel, and many of them have been for a long time. So we're in a very gracious and friendly space. They'll totally understand if we need to take a break or anything like that. So
Oh, that's beautiful. So thank you for saying that, because my daughter has a puppy and I'm visiting her in her apartment in Atlanta. She's in her master's degree
yay!
program.
Oh,
Yay. So,
congrats. Yeah.
he's right here. So
Yay!
thank
Hi, puppy. Yeah, absolutely. Puppy interruptions
you.
are like not even interruptions. That's like, yeah, material for the show. Yeah, I love that. Absolutely great. Thank you for letting me know. So yeah, if we have a puppy bark attack, we can definitely cut it out, and we'll repeat what we said so we get it clear and all that good stuff. And then the other thing to know is I'm trying to get more savvy with the tech, okay? So we're doing something called recording locally, which means that in addition to live streaming right now, the StreamYard system is recording me separately and recording you separately. And that way, if we have lags in internet, microphone kind of goes out or anything like that, hopefully the version on your end will be nice and crystal clear, and the version on my end will be crystal clear, and then it'll get all put together in the audio. So that doesn't really change anything for you, but it does mean that when we get to the end of the recording session, and we say our goodbyes, I will take you off the screen and you'll be out of the stream. But if you could please leave the recording studio room open. If you could leave your laptop or computer open for a few minutes and stay in the recording room for a few minutes, you'll see a notification telling you that your sound and audio are uploading into the cloud, and then it will let you know when it's done. And I would say it takes 10, maybe 15 minutes at the most. But if you go out, I won't have your version, and we'll have to come back in, and we won't have to re-record or anything, but you'd have to come back in to finish the upload. So if you don't mind just leaving the screen open until it tells you it's safe to close everything out.
Okay, sure. Thank you for letting me know.
Yes, of course. I appreciate your patience with that. Yeah, I think that's all the administrative stuff. You have been here before, like I said, so you know that when we do have an official date for the podcast version, we will send you an email. And who's we? I will send you an email. I always act like I have like a team of
Sharing it
staff.
everywhere.
I'm manifesting when I have like, staff members and stuff to make this show possible. So I'm always like, my team will get to you. Me, myself, and I will email you when I have figured out the dates and all that good stuff. So you have the link can share it with people. And in the meantime, feel free to share this episode with people. It'll be on my YouTube channel.
Yes, we will be sharing, because we love Bronx
Yeah.
Witch. We love
Yeah.
Bronx Witch.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. And something cool actually for the next time, because I'm sure we'll meet again. I'm sure we'll have another episode again. StreamYard has a new thing where you can actually stream to two people's YouTube channels at once.
Oh, we've got to do that.
Yes.
If you would be a guest on one of my Witchy Wednesday shows, and
Oh,
then we
yeah. Oh, I
okay.
love that. Yeah, yeah, we'll coordinate that for sure. Because if we use like my StreamYard account, then we could like broadcast in two places, and I'd be happy to like do the setup or whatever. So, yeah,
Okay,
that's
good.
cool. Okay, yay,
Love
good to know. And then the last thing to do, if you recall, is I don't know if we did this in your episode because you were the very first episode, but something that we have been doing for a while because our guest co-host is a guest co-host, and we encourage you to ask questions, interrupt me. If there's something that you want to talk about that I haven't prompted, feel free to jump in with your ideas and take the conversation anywhere you'd like to go. But we have been having our guest co hosts send us to our commercial break, which has been kind of a fun thing that I really like. And I think it really makes the guest co hosts actually feel like they are co hosting the show.
Mhm.
So
I
if you don't
remember
mind,
that.
you
I
remember
remember.
this?
Yes, yes,
This is
yes.
an idea to shout out to Devin Hunter who came up with this idea. But I've been enjoying it. So if you don't mind indulging me, I think we'll do that now. And I will also take this opportunity to read off the commercial details. So, but we'll start with your part. And basically, we just ask folks to say something like, I think now would be a good time for a break. You can say it however you'd like, and we can do it a million times until we feel like it's right. But basically, I'll give you a countdown. We'll take a break, a breath. You'll deliver your line, something like, I think now's a good time for a break. We'll take another breath, and then we'll move on with the convo. Okay.
Okay,
All
sounds
right.
good.
So I will start you off with a countdown of three, two, one.
I think now is a good time for a break.
Nailed it. Oh, I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. I always love how people put their own spin on it. Sometimes people go like really crazy and they're like, we should get some tea. Do you feel like it's time for a break? And I love how everybody does it. And that was wonderful how you did it just then. So thank you very much. Yeah, Key said, whoop, whoop.
That's the
Very
first one.
good.
Woo.
Yeah. All right. I will read my commercial here. This is what will actually be in the commercial. So pardon me for 1 second. We'll get this done. Are you ready to embrace your inner magic and become a better witch? Join the 6-month BetterWitch Magic Intensive Coaching Program. Unveil the power of self realization, meditation, rituals, and more. Elevate your practice with live classes and one on one sessions with me, Alysha Kravetz. Plus, enjoy exclusive perks, including almost $1,000 in savings on magical products and services, and a Better Witch Magic Intensive Kit. The next round of coaching sessions begins in September. Don't miss your chance to become a better witch. Learn more now at bronxwitch.com/coaching.
Yay!
That's my plug.
Congratulations on the program, because I saw your video where you were boxing up. And I was like, ooh, and you were showing some of the items. I'm like, ooh, and that really nice grimoire. I'm like, woo.
Oh, I
Allie
love
is
those
giving away some
journals.
really good stuff to her better witches that are in the Better Witch program
Yes.
for
Yes.
the six
Thank you
months.
for saying that because I picked that journal myself and I was really proud of it because
That journal is fire. Look, I wanted
she's
one.
so pretty. Yes, and she's got like 240 pages, so she's
Yeah,
compact,
thick.
but she's thick and she's got a lot of space to write. And then usually when you get a journal that has like is bound and it's like all natural like that, the paper is usually not lined,
That
which is fine for me. I prefer not lined paper, so I can just do whatever. And I'm pretty good at, like, writing and like straight rows and stuff like that, so I don't mind it. But here in the shop, the feedback I've been getting from folks is like, "Oh, do you have any lined journals? My handwriting's not great, or I want to use it to actually take notes in my magical classes and things like that, or on the books I'm reading. And I want something that feels like a notebook." So I was really happy when I found those, because it marries like my love of like, all leather natural journals with like a notebook that you can write and take notes in. So
Right.
getting
Yeah.
that, I'm really proud of the kit.
Marry the aesthetic with the practical and the
Yes.
magical. It's all
Yes.
converged into that.
Yeah.
It's really nice. Yeah, it's really nice.
Thank you. Thank you. We had our first 2-hour group class last night, actually, on self realization, which is perfect because we're going to talk about that, because we are talking about being a better sentient witch. That's the topic for today, everybody. And being sentient basically just means to be able to feel and perceive things. And so, what we'll be talking about today and exploring more is what it means to feel and perceive your true self, and what it means to see or perceive yourself as a witch. Because there's quite a bit of chatter about that, right? Is it something that you're quote unquote born with? Do you have to feel spirits around you, or be able to see things that others can't, in order to embody that identity of the witch? And what does it really mean to know yourself? Which I personally think is something that witches really get, maybe more than some other folks. How important it is to get under the post-it notes and
Mhm.
to find out who you and what you really are. I think even witches who don't particularly like spiritual or anything like that, there's a knowing that there is something bigger and deeper that we are connected to, that I think all witches have in common. So I'm excited to talk about that, because I kind of got started yesterday in our class, starting off with the topic of self-realization. How do you identify the true you? And you talked about that a little while ago when we were chatting, where you had to let go of was in your mind and the preconceived notions that you had, to seek just truth.
That's right.
Just, who am I at my core? Not what my parents said, not what society says, not what the church says. Who am I before I ever had this body, before I ever had this name, Valerie Love? Who am I underneath all of that? So I'm excited to talk about that today, and maybe give our audience some tips on how they can go about that journey maybe a little better than they are right now.
Love that.
So, yeah.
On the whole topic of know thyself, in our mystery school, we have 40 foundations lessons, and lesson one is know thyself. And it
Yeah.
reminds me of, how we hear all the time about the Temple of at Delphi, and people went to see the oracle bringing gifts, long lines of people. What do my dreams mean? I'm seeing this, I'm seeing that. I keep seeing these stars or the sign and so forth. And right over the entrance to the temple, where the oracle sat, where people were coming, bringing their offerings, laying at the feet of the oracle to ask the oracle a question, your burning questions. Over the door was know thyself. Because
Hmm.
as you enter the door of the temple, which is the inner temple, your own heart is the temple, right? You are the temple. When you enter the temple, before asking an outside entity something about your life, know thyself, know who you
Hmm.
know, what you're here for,
Yeah.
know why you are here. And if you don't know those things, it's all good, then that becomes your search.
Yeah.
That answering those questions becomes your priority.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that that is so foundational and important to going from that place where, maybe you are interested in witchcraft because you like the candles, you like the crystals, you like the stuff, the aesthetic, and that's cool.
I like
Maybe
all
you're, I love all those things, right?
yeah,
Maybe you're, what's that?
I said we love all that stuff.
Oh
Yeah, we love
yes,
this.
yes,
Yeah,
love
yeah,
all the stuff.
yeah.
And but or maybe you're drawn to witchcraft because it brings, or you believe it will bring you some type of power that you maybe are lacking in your life. I was saying to my coaching witches, my better witches last night, that people who have the privilege of being born with an incredible amount of power probably don't gravitate to witchcraft as much because it's been handed to them.
Mm,
But those of us who have been oppressed, who've been disenfranchised, or who have in some way had our power stripped from us, witchcraft, I think, is even more appealing to us. So
mm,
whatever like it is that draws you to witchcraft in the beginning, if you want to go on that journey of going from like dabbling or baby witch or what have you to really standing fully in your identity and being confident about embodying the witch, knowing yourself is what changes things. Like
mm.
it's not a certain amount of spells cast or classes taken or books bought or anything like that. For me, that pivotal moment in my life and in my craft was where I went from not knowing myself and finally actually meeting the real
Mm.
me and being like
So,
mind blown.
mind-blowing. That's probably why a lot of people don't do it, is because
Yeah.
when we are on the spiritual journey, especially when we're first awakening from the cocoon of being asleep, we probably were asleep for 20 or 30 years, maybe 10 years, whatever. It's like we all came in like that paper doll with nothing stuck to us. Yet over time, in Kabbalah, they call it klipod. And that's a term that means, imagine there's a room with a lamp in the middle with a regular lampshade. The room is illuminated, right? And the light is shining brightly. Then something happens at 3. You see an argument and you don't understand it energetically. You just know your system is on overload panic, right? Maybe that was one of your first huge panic moments in the energetic system. Kabbalah says it's like someone came into the room and put a sheet over the lamp. A
Mm.
little further, you're 5 and you get bullied in kindergarten. It's like someone came in and put a blanket over the lamp. Then at 7, you have a crush on a boy, he calls you ugly. It's like another person comes in and puts another blanket over the
Wow.
light. The light is still there. The light is as bright as it has ever been. However, your house is not illuminated because of all the stuff that has been heaped on us and piled on us. And so we get to disrobe, we get to get naked, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
call it unveiling.
yes, and take that stuff off and let your light shine. And next thing you know, wow, has this been here all my life? Yes, this has been here all your 500 to 800 lifetimes or more.
Yeah.
Yes, it's been here.
Right.
Mhm.
I love that analogy. Oh my gosh, listen. I basically do this podcast just so I can jack material from other witches. I think that's like literally every time. Like we were talking to Corey Thomas Hutchison the other day, he was dropping some gems, and I was like, I'm gonna tell you right now, Corey, I'm jacking that. Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now, you are gonna see that
Go ahead.
again
Take it up.
somewhere, and I'm gonna
Go
do
ahead.
my best every time to credit. Who I got it from, but like, please don't hold it against me when you hear me being like, so there's this lamp in a room, right? Because that is
Go
such a beautiful and effective way of describing, I think, what happens to us in the human experience and what
Mhm.
it is when you start stepping into witchcraft and you start pulling those layers off, and it it happens at different rates for everybody. But when you get down to the bottom layer and you fully reveal that light, it's unbelievable, and it makes not just an impact in your life, but it affects everyone around you. Now everyone in the room can see, everyone in the room is basked in the warmth and the light that your glow is getting, and people will be attracted to that, right? Moths to a flame. So other people will look at you very differently. There will be something about you that they maybe can't put their finger on, but that they know is different about you than them, or maybe than, most other people. And that is, probably why witches often stand out in a room as different. There's this openness, this freeness, this brightness that comes from knowing yourself.
For sure. And one of the reasons that we don't do this, right, Allie, that we don't pull back all of that maybe some people are not as eager to do that, is because it's challenging. It is
Yeah.
very challenging to
It's
stop.
uncomfortable.
It's so uncomfortable, right? To meet yourself, look at yourself, and say, okay, take complete responsibility for removing those blankets and those, because it's easy to blame. It's
Mm-hmm.
easy to say they did it, this person, they. That's easy. To look at self and become uber responsible for self and one's own unfoldment, and meet those inner demons that we do when witches are not afraid of the dark. So we go deep into the shadow, right? We'll go all the way into that black well. We'll just dive straight in, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that is about us,
Yeah.
that I was never queasy. I was never like, I could see blood and it didn't do things to me. I could
Right.
see guts. I could see all of that. And I never got queasy about things. They used to say that I had a cast iron stomach. And I think
Yeah.
there's something right about witches, that we can deal with we can deal with blood, gore, guts. We can deal with inner demons. And some people would run from these things that are in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
Dark can be scary, yet a witch knows that you have to go into the dark. And the dark is not
Yeah.
evil. The dark is simply dark. There's light and there's dark, and we need both. And we wouldn't have both if we didn't need both.
Right.
So it's nothing to be afraid of in the dark. But we were taught the dark is the devil and it's bad. No, the dark is just unexplored. Let's go in.
Yeah, that's actually so interesting that you say that, because that's something about myself that I never really thought about or tied to my witchiness. But I've
Mhm.
always been like that, where I don't get queasy at the sight of blood. I'm the person when somebody has an accident, I'm like, grab my gloves with the alcohol and the pads. Like, I got it. Here we go. I'm gonna hold that together. We need a hand. We need some stitches over here. But like, I've never been bothered by that.
Yeah,
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 and then also like death as well, as incredibly sad as it is, especially after going on that inner journey of really understanding that I am a spirit first, and I'm energy first and foremost, and that this body is just one of the many temporary shells that I have donned since the beginning of all existence. It makes me view death in a very different way, where it's certainly sad to no longer be able to interact with people in the same way, but the idea of death doesn't make me sad. It doesn't make me sad that your energy is now going to shift into a different form and return to the all, and then maybe come back into a different form. It's nothing to be sad about. You've done it so many times. I've done it so many times. You've done it so many times. It's just a part of the cycle that we are in. And I think that's something that it can be difficult for people, especially people who maybe have, recently lost someone, or are still
Mhm.
very much in pain because of the loss of somebody. It's almost dismissive maybe to hear me talk like that, and treat it as just this thing that happens. But that really is how it is for me now, that I feel like I know that I know myself on that energetic level. Things like that don't bother me, and they really never have. So
Mm.
that's interesting.
Yeah, this is very interesting because if the lower mind gets involved in the conversation, and you as a witch naturally, if you're, seeing people really grieving over an experience, and you just don't have that same, you just can't muster that same level of grief, or it's just not accessible to you.
It's not
Oh,
devastating, I think.
yeah,
It's not,
it's
and for
not as
people, it's
devastating.
devastating. And it's like,
Right.
I'm not
It's
devastated by it.
right. And it can look cool, cold, uncaring. And so if the lower mind gets involved, it could start a chatter like, well, why aren't you like all these other people? Why aren't you
Mm-hmm.
losing it right now? I lost it to some extent when my mom passed on. And then I've had so many dumb suppers with my mom and my grandmother where we kick it up, laughing and talking and eating like we used to do when they were
Right.
in form, that it's kind of hard to get yourself all worked up. And I'm not, I'm definitely not wanting to not have empathy
Right.
for people who are having a devastating experience.
Yeah.
We had a devastating experience in our family year before last. Year before last, my daughter gave birth to her fourth son. He
Mm.
lived for 3 weeks and 3 days, and he was
Wow.
in the NICU. And during the 3 weeks and 3 days that he was alive in the NICU, he had many tubes. He had a lot of health challenges. He had been through more in this incarnation than I have been through in my entire life, health wise.
Wow. Wow.
So I was just being with her, being with her, being with her, and the dad, and just our family in the experience. And before I was praying, I was whole in the thing. He's going to be well. He's going to be this. He's going to be that. All the things that we want to happen. That may not be
Mm-hmm.
the universal plan. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I want to happen as grandma, G mommy, they call me, right? This is my daughter's child. This is what I want to happen, or this is what she wants to happen. We don't know what the universal plan is. What we have is the universal plan, right? So we get to trust that. Couple of days before he passed, I'm in the bathroom, and you know how we are witches. We're always talking to spirits, and it's like normal, right?
Right.
This being comes into the bathroom, and I'm like, you know how you can tell when somebody new is on the block, right? It's not one of your
Yeah.
usual going around. I'm like, and I knew instantly it was him. This
Mm.
soul, Allie, when I tell you that this soul was so large, energetically, he was like a 50-story building. He was huge.
Mm.
He, comparatively speaking, the only being that I have experienced being that big is Sandalphon, this huge angel that is just like huge
Mm.
in my interactions with them, because angels come to people how people are, right? How
Mm-hmm.
we are. They'll come to us in the best way for us.
Yeah.
Well, this being, I'm in the bathroom brushing my teeth, because you know how spirits are, they just pop in when they pop in. And the first thing I asked him was, why did you come into this frail body?
Mm.
Because I'm with this ginormous soul, and you're connected to this little tiny few pounds of flesh
Mm.
laying in a NICU with tubes every which way. Why did you come into that was my first question.
Yeah.
Why did you come into this frail body? You know what he said?
Mm.
I have many lessons to teach. And I
Wow.
said, enough. I said no more. I said, okay. That's when I dropped what I wanted to happen, and the wanting so much for him to live and for him to thrive and for him to be off this, and looking at every monitor like, is that a good number? And the monitor was just going like this. So, you're up
Yeah.
one minute. We had feelings attached to the monitors.
Right.
So that's showing us there's attachments there. Cut the attachments, because this soul is doing what this soul came here to do.
Right.
So when I heard that, got it, hands off, and I just really then got to be in it without wanting it to be this way or that way,
Right.
or having to be, or angst, or all of that went away because it
Yeah.
was saying to me, hey, you know about this. I was like, ooh, but when you're close to it, so close,
Yeah.
I'm the mother of the mother. So the mother just carried this being in her belly for 9
Mm-hmm.
months. And she is like, right? So when that happened, um, it shifted for me, the energy shifted for me. And then sure enough, a few days later, he left his
Yeah.
physical body. Devastating. It was almost like my daughter, and the only reason I'm talking about this is because she herself has brought it forward publicly.
Got it.
I didn't talk about it at all because it wasn't my story to tell.
Right.
It was for her. And so our family was healing and she was unfolding this. And we've just never had any experience like this before.
Mm-hmm.
After he passed, they asked, hey, we'll get him together. And Allie, that was the first time I had sat for that many hours with a person who was leaving. Because you
Mm.
it's at the crossroads.
Right.
Witches are there when souls are leaving, witches are there when souls are coming in. And I sat and I held him for hours and I talked about it. And they told us he's going. He's not
Gonna
he's
make it. Yeah.
right. And I talked to him about the ancestors, my mom, my grandmother, this one, that one. I was telling him all the stories about how they grew up on the farm. And, he was just laying there, like listening and whatnot. Yet this big, ginormous soul was what was on my mind and
Mm-hmm.
not so much to focus on this physical incarnation. Well, after he passed, they asked my daughter, do you want to have a sermon, a funeral or something? She said, no, 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 we're not doing the tiny baby casket and people falling out.
Yeah. No, too
We're
much.
not doing that.
No.
So she said she was just going to do something privately herself. I said, okay, you're brave. She's a really strong, really brave woman. So she went to the funeral home and he was in the casket. Now, when his spirit left, I came and looked at him. Now, I was holding him for hours. We all were holding him for hours. We were with him all the way, right? When I came after his spirit had lifted up, I looked at him in the bassinet. He was still in the bassinet in the NICU. Nothing. It it was nothing. It was like no
Mm.
different from a pile of beautiful soil.
Right.
It wasn't like a being was here.
Yeah.
I lifted him and he was so heavy.
Mm.
He was so heavy, which had told me that that big soul hadn't lifted yet because they say that there is actually a measurable difference. If you
Yeah.
weigh a person just before they die and then you weigh them
Yeah.
after,
I
there's
have
a
heard this. Yes.
when the soul lifted up. So apparently this soul was lifting up, but when I looked at the actual flesh, I knew nothing was there, right?
Mm.
She goes to the funeral home when they had the experience, the little funeral, sort of like a saying goodbye.
Yeah.
She said, Ma, I walked up to the casket and she said she recoiled. She looked in the casket and said, that's not Eros.
Mm.
That was the first thing she said. She said, Ma, I don't know what was in that casket. That was not my child. She died
Wow.
just like that. That there's no such thing as death. And that what she was looking at were the remains.
Yeah.
Talk about know that self, right?
Right.
She goes out to the car. She was driving a van. She said, Ma, I go outside to the car. A hawk, a huge hawk, Allie, is sitting on the driver's side of the vehicle up in
Oh
Florida,
my gosh.
Miami, Florida,
Huh.
looking at her. She said, Ma, the intense was the gaze, that it was like a stare, was so intense. The second she
Mm.
walked out the door, she looks and she sees this. She took a picture of it. This is the biggest hawk we've ever seen. This thing is
Mm.
sitting on top of the vehicle on the driver's side, staring her straight in the eye until she walked all the way up to the car. And I said, "Oh my goodness, was that arrows? Coming as another
Yeah.
form?" And I said, "What was the sense you got? Like, what did you receive?" She said that it was a teacher spirit and that it was looking at her like, "Do you have the lesson?"
Right. Oh, wow.
To say that this would in any way even cast the tiniest pebble into a pond of who you really are
Right.
would be an absolute ignorance of what we are.
Yeah. Ugh, thank you for sharing that story. I had chills all the way through, but especially like, and things like that, I feel like when you explore this lifestyle, when you open yourself up just to the idea, first of all, that there is more to you than this body and this mind, things like that, when they happen, you have a completely different perspective on them, and you're able to really like benefit deeply from them. Because I think about, if your daughter didn't have you as a parent to instruct them or help them to understand that, like, this is not just a case of like a bird landing on your car, that there's something else going on here. And I feel like a lot of folks who are not witches would, just shoo the bird away or something, and maybe be inconvenienced by it or maybe scared of it, and not really know that there is a message being given there. But in knowing yourself and knowing that you are not your body, not your name, not the identity that you have adopted in this lifetime, but something bigger, you kind of automatically then realize that about all other beings, all other sentient beings, that those beings are also not their bodies or their minds either. There is an energy that pervades all things, and that you and I are not really as separate as we would think. That we are all connected on a very deep cosmic level, and that's also true of the bird living beings and the plant beings, that we're all connected to something bigger than ourselves. And I think we often glance over that until we start knowing ourselves really. And that is huge for the witch, because, I think that's really powerful as a person. I don't know if your daughter identifies as a witch, but just as a being, a person going through life and experiencing this huge loss, having that perspective can be very comforting. It can be consoling. It can be encouraging. But for the witch, it's super powerful
Very.
because, right, because we are out here not just connecting with ourselves and the energy that pervades everything, but we're getting in there and trying to move things in our own favor or for the benefit of others. And when we start practicing witchcraft, we might be lighting candles, casting spells, making mojo bags, things like that, and like doing the things and buying the stuff and maybe getting results, but not always. And then when we do get results, we don't really know why. We don't necessarily know how to replicate it and make sure that we get those results again. And for me, I was in that place for a long time, and coming to know myself for me came through studying Hindu mysticism and learning how to meditate and things like that. But there are many, many paths to this. But when I came to know myself, all of a sudden, it wasn't just doing the things and buying the stuff. I understood what these things were energetically and how they
Mhm.
were connected to me energetically, and how I had access to all of the energy that's in all of the universe right within myself. And I could
Right.
buy the stuff, right? And I could do the things, but why did those things work? Why is this crystal bringing me this sense of calm? It's not because it's just pretty. It's not because some TikToker said that this is the crystal that will calm you down. It's because there's an energy that this crystal contains that is the same as the energy that I am a container for. And we are talking to each other the way your daughter was talking to that bird and it was talking back to her. And the physical limitation of we're two different species, or you're a rock and I'm a human being, go
Doesn't
out
matter.
the window. They go right out the window, and you're able to have conversation with and relationships with just the energy. And that can be, and it is typically super profound when it comes to doing the work of the witch, the spell casting, the healing work, the divination work, etc. Now you get why you're able to do these things in the first place. And it doesn't have a lot to do with the stuff, though that might help. It's about the energy that we all share. And if we can put all of the right things in alignment and get all the energies lined up, then you have a direct express path from the desire that's in your heart to the reality that you want to see. And it's like, boom, now you're on the express train.
Boom. With
Yeah.
plenty of fuel in your caboose and unstoppable on your
Yeah.
path. Because before we get there, we're kind of, is this right? Do I have the right crystal? Is it, you're like this? Is it the full moon?
Right.
This way? Is it that way? We're asking a lot of questions. We're doubting ourselves. We're doubting,
Mm-hmm.
at least I did,
Yeah.
doubting myself. I've been a witch so many lifetimes, and almost every witch I've met has been a witch so many lifetimes. We've been drowned, we've been burned, we just keep coming back. We just keep coming back. So part of knowing yourself is knowing that you're indestructible.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
indestructible. You can't be killed. You're immortal. You're an infinite being. You have
Yeah.
no limits, no bounds. And so once you start operating from that place, the whole thing opens up.
Yes. Yeah, it really does. Ugh, I was talking about this with the Better Witches last night. The Upanishads are a sacred Hindu text that forms is it provides basically the philosophy upon which the Hindu religion is formulated on. But I'm not a Hindu religiously, but the Upanishads have been incredibly helpful for me, and it's a small read, so I encourage folks to check it out. But it's basically a conversation between someone who wants to know how to achieve immortality and the guru that has the answers. Though in Hindu mysticism, it's just more questions, which can be frustrating. But no, they never answer anything. If you listen to Hindu mystics, you ask a question, no answers. They're gonna ask you more questions that are gonna like sort of answer, but also like take you
And
on
so
a whole nother. Yeah, that's what they're there for. They're there to stimulate you to explore, not to just give you an answer and tell you, here, believe this, do this. So I really love that. But the Upanishads, spoiler alert, everybody, the question of, can I be immortal? Is it possible for a human to be immortal? And if so, how do you achieve it? Spoiler, the answer is you already are, but not for the reasons that you think. It's not that your human body is going to exist forever. It's not that your human brain is going to exist forever. And it really, of course, in typical mystic fashion, never answers the question of whether or not the human body could ever possibly achieve that. So who knows? But what you learn from that is because your true self is the energy that pervades everything, the answer is undoubtedly yes. Of
mhm.
course, immortality is possible. It already is. You are already an immortal being. The only reason why you don't feel that way is because you identify with your physical body and your physical mind. And when you start identifying with your true self, your spiritual self, the all source, whatever you want to call it, that has come back in human form time and time again, then you realize that you are immortal already, that you are infinite, that you have always been and will always be. And when you start operating from that place, you start doing things a lot differently.
Absolutely. Kabbalah, just like you say, the Upanishads really helped you a lot. Kabbalah really helped me because
Mm,
it bridged the sort of magic and the esoteric with the Christian. That was the most I could do on my
mhm.
witchy magical occult path at first was really leaning to Kabbalah, because all of the great religious traditions have a mystical component to it, right?
Right.
They
Right.
either, it's just like Islam has the hold on a second, could you write me a quick note? Oh, is it time to go? Can you write me a quick note, okay? So I can, is it time to go?
Have me a drink of
Yeah,
my
we're
juice. Val Antonio was asking what I'm juicing. Just fruits. My morning fruits. This is my
oh,
breakfast. I'm just getting to my breakfast. So, but
oh,
today's the new moon, so I fast.
yeah,
The new
I
moon, so it's.
fast too. Yeah, I
You
fast too.
do really?
Oh yeah, I love fasting. Yeah.
Got to do that restart, man. It makes a difference.
It makes a big difference. And all of the spiritual and religious paths have fasting included as a spiritual practice. So when I was,
All of them.
all of them do. So coming out of Christianity, Kabbalah was sort of the bridge by which I could kind of start going into the occult, the esoteric. I could start taking my mind into the esoteric direction. And Kabbalah teaches that only 1% of reality is able to be perceived by the five senses. The other 99% of reality is not perceivable by the five senses. So if we don't go beyond the five senses, we are literally missing 99% of reality. So I think about it in terms of physics, because I love science. I'm an air sign, and air signs, thinking, right? Logic. It is always fascinating to me how physics brings us, or how science in some forms brings us what we already knew in spirituality, yet science is giving us the concretized mathematical computations for it, right? So, right now, we already knew this because there's a saying that says, science scales the highest mountains only to find the yogis, gurus, sages, and saints already sitting there. So
Right.
they already told us, right? The yogis, the gurus, the sages, the saints, you're an immortal being. You cannot be destroyed. You're energy. You are the one. You are all, and all are you. So don't fight among each other. All of the yogis, the gurus, the sages, the saints, they all told us the same thing. They told us love. They told us the energy. They told us that you're going to find it within yourself. They didn't tell us that you were going to get it from a religion or from dogma or from this. They all tell us go on the hero's quest. So when we look at that and we say, okay, I've got to get past this 3D construct somehow, right? I've got to go past these five senses and my lower mind that's just helping me put on my pants and eat a sweet potato. I've got to go beyond that.
Shout out to sweet potato.
Hey, I just had one last night.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Too. Come on, rituals.
Yes, sweet potato time.
It's perfect time of year. So because of that, I started actively saying, okay, we're talking about sentience here, right? What sentience do we have of worlds beyond the 3D, beyond space? So my favorite scientist right now is Professor Donald Hoffman. So Professor Donald Hoffman, he is an incredible teacher. He is an incredible scientist. He's he is a neuroscientist, and he is at the University of California at Irvine. And he has plenty of videos here on YouTube. So if anyone wants to look him up, he has the wording, Allie, in scientific terms for what we talk about in witchy circles.
I love that. I love witchy scientists. I love Alan Kardec. I love Edgar Casey. I love like all of the like scientists who are like the two don't have to. I think those are like the two biggest misconceptions about witches, that we don't believe in God and we don't believe in science. it's like totally the opposite, like big fat false news, fake news. Like actually we are all about both over here.
And you know what he calls it? He says that, hold on for one moment. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. He says that there is now active, and Nima Arkani Hamed, I hope I'm saying his name right, is a physicist who has actually gone past space-time and have found what they call an amplitahedron, which is a geometric structure that projects into space-time. So geometry, sacred geometry, it's a geometric structure.
Yeah.
What they also found are what they call decorated permutations. They actually have scientific terminologies for structures that are beyond space-time. They also talk of, it is that mind-blowing. These are scientists, and they have the mathematical equations for it, which means that they have the evidence. In addition to that, this one blew my mind. Professor Hoffman talks about conscious agents. He says that all of us are conscious agents, and you project a portion of your consciousness into space-time. Not even your whole consciousness, as we know. Is that intriguing? And that as a conscious agent, you have experiences, and you are an infinite conscious agent. Of course, conscious agents can't be destroyed or anything like that. And that there are uncountable conscious agents and uncountable worlds. So you as a conscious agent, me as a conscious agent, we chose to come into this world, which is a space-time world with only 3 dimensions. To hear Professor Donald Hoffman talk about this, he says this space-time is pretty thin. It's a very simple, dumbed down interface. It's a very dumbed down.
Why does that not surprise me? In all of the space-time worlds, we'd be in like the simplest one. The universe was like, let's not complicate this for them.
We're like in the kindergarten of universe.
Let's just give them just.
People are still warring here.
Yeah.
We're fighting, we're doing stuff like that. A lot of other worlds are probably just much more advanced or much more. Yet we chose to come into this world so that we could learn things that you can only learn in this space-time kind of paradigm, right?
Yeah.
Those are the headset, and that when you're born, you put on the headset, and when you leave here, you're a conscious agent. You take off the headset, which is your body, and that this body is only an icon.
Yeah, for the Better Witches, I heard an analogy, I guess, that I thought was really helpful, and it's the analogy of the ocean. And if you think of all consciousness as the ocean, and then someone comes along and takes a cup of it, and that cup is your body, and the water inside is your spirit, your true self. You are not a cup of water, you are ocean. It's just that you are in this cup for this period of time. And that's what everyone is, and not just everyone in like the human sense, but all of the beings that we're able to interact with energetically. The angels, the demons, the different spirits, the fairies, they're all cups of this consciousness, of this cosmic ocean, and their cups are different. They're different sizes. Maybe their cups are actually clear plastic Ziploc baggies, and so that's why you can't even see them with your eyes, but you can perceive that there's something there that feels almost touchable, almost tangible. So I like that analogy really a lot, because I think it makes it simple for us, for those of us who need to in the simple world.
Yes, it's very, and another thing I love about quantum physics, as we're talking about, being a better sentient witch. There goes the puppy, because his mom.
There we go, puppy. Hi. Yeah, that's okay.
His mom just left, so he's like, my mom left.
She'll be back.
Yeah, she'll be back, sweetie boo boo. His name is Books, because my daughter loves books, so his name is Books. So. That's cute. Yeah. Hold on. Let me let him.
Yeah, please. Yeah, go ahead. Take your time.
Hi, little guy. Don't be upset, okay? Mommy, be back.
It's good to take a break when we have like deep convos too.
Yeah, I just want to let him not be too upset, because he can get a little feisty.
Take your time. For folks in the room, I want to remind you that you can use the Q&A box at the top of the chat to drop your questions if you can't stick around for the entirety of this incredible conversation. And I will definitely make sure to get to your questions.
Out to play
And
down, down.
you can always come back and watch this so that you can check them out. Check
So
out
the
the
puppy is
answers
here
to
to
your
play.
questions.
A play
Yes.
puppy. Hi, little guy. So at least he's
We've
not
got a
whining.
couple.
Yeah, at
Yeah.
least he's not whining.
Aw,
He's good.
that's okay.
Yeah, he's good. So I'll let you guys see him. Say hi, Books.
Cuteness overload. Oh my gosh, he looks like a stuffed animal.
I know he looks like. I told my daughter he looks like Chewbacca.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's definitely giving Chewbacca, but like very cute baby Chewbacca. Oh my God, hi, Books.
Yeah, and he's
Oh,
soft as ever. He's just like soft and furry. Yeah,
I
he's,
bet.
he's the best. So he gets a little feisty when his mama,
Yeah.
and so I
Yeah.
had to let him know your mama's mama is here. So you need to check.
Yeah, you're all good. You're in the presence of mom either way.
Yeah,
That's
mother,
super
mother energy.
sweet.
We all love mother energy, don't we?
Yeah.
So when I listened to him and I listened to the quantum physicists talk about um, quantum entanglement,
Hmm.
it really describes magic, how two particles in different places are communicating with each other
Hmm.
beyond speed of light. They're having instantaneous communication. So now
Right.
we have scientific proof of telepathic communication. We have sympathetic magic at its finest right there because we know that we can use a symbol of air to represent air.
Hmm.
Witches have always known that this is really scientific, but
Right.
because why?
Oh, hi.
Which is the one where he's known that this is absolutely scientific. And now we have proof that this is
Right. Yeah.
science is proving what we didn't need proof of it, right? We knew it because we had the knowing, we have the
Yep.
sentience.
Yep.
Yet we're happy that science is showing us, yes, you were right all along.
Right. Right. I love that so much. I love quantum physics is really fascinating, and the idea of, particles is being entangled like that is very much, it's giving me that ocean idea that like you are contained in a human body, but you're still very much part of the larger picture. And so what's happening inside of you is happening over there as well. And I really love that like science is catching up to the witches.
Right,
They're
right. Science
finally figuring it out.
only took them a few thousand years, that's all, to catch. That's all. But we're still light years ahead, because they're still, figuring it out with mathematical computations. I love science and I
Right.
love what it can do. I know also that many scientists are physicalists, that they are expecting that if consciousness, that they're thinking that consciousness is not fundamental, and that
Mm,
somehow, if you can get a complex enough system, as they teach in schools and in biology and things like that, if you can get somehow a complex enough system, somehow consciousness will arise from that complexity. Yet
right.
it has never happened. They've never been able to prove it, right? So we know that consciousness is fundamental and things arise from consciousness. So
Yeah.
I think now we're starting to understand truth here.
Right, right. That it's not the other way around. And I think that that's part of why it is so profound to know yourself and get to know yourself on that level, because then you realize that all that is happening in this physical world is actually arising out of consciousness, which means that if you want something to happen in this physical world, it can arise out of your consciousness. And then
Yes.
that is what witches do. They pull forward out of that cosmic well of just existence things that perhaps some might have imagined could never be, or that when they do come to be, people will call miracles or things like that. That in reality, what we are experiencing is that everything in this tangible, existential, physical world comes out of the unseen, out of that cosmic well, and not the other way around. It's not that your human body gives rise to your spirit. It's no.
Yes.
Your human body is just the cup that
Yeah.
takes a scoop of the ocean, and so you can go and you can scoop up whatever it is you want. You want to be that powerful singer, or you want to be successful. You want to have love or be partnered with somebody. All of these things are possible for you, and it's not that you have to like find them somewhere or anything like that. You're connected to this well of all possibilities. And when you realize that, you can kind of reach down and say, okay, I want a scoop of this now. Let me give rise to that. Let me embody this. And that, I think, is what is happening when we reincarnate in human form. We're just going, but instead of like taking a different scoop of the ocean, we're pouring ourselves into a different cup. We have different
Yes. Maybe
vessels.
a
So
teacup, maybe
right.
a mug, maybe a vase, a tall, skinny vase in one lifetime, and another
Hmm.
lifetime you're a beer can, and another
I'm
tinkering.
definitely a beer can.
And
100%.
what I love about this, right, is that it reminds us of our infinite nature. We are in no way bound. So that frees up your money. That frees up the healing power in your body to heal your life. That
Hmm.
frees up your relationships, that we're no longer stuck to one person. And this is my one, and I've got to, you're an infinite being. There are plenty of infinite beings. Hey, lighten up. And it
Yeah,
actually can make us more relaxed, couldn't it? That
very
we are
much.
infinite beings. We don't have to be so uptight.
Very much, very much. I think it brings a certain sense of peace. And so, like what I was saying earlier about the witch always seeming to be like the person in the room that just feels different. And I had a client in here the other day, a tarot client that we take walk-ins. So we have folks of all different walks of life who walk by the shop and see the sign, and they come in for tarot readings for all types of reasons. And we had someone come in and sit with me and was going through a breakup and was really upset about it, and should I cast a spell and make him come back to me, and these types of things. And when we got kind of over the superficial stuff, and started really talking deeply about why she was drawn to witchcraft in the first place, what it was that she was lacking in her own life, she broke down in tears, and she was just like, I've been watching you and the other witches that are in the shop on your Instagram. I follow you guys, and there is just a peace and a knowing about all of you, and I want that. I really want that. But then she goes on to say, and this was something we had to tackle, she goes, is there anything in the store that you can recommend to me that I could buy, that I could get, maybe a candle that could give me what you guys have? And I was like, no.
Let's talk
And
about
that
that.
that's a whole nother conversation. And so we spent
Right.
another 45 minutes on that,
And
explaining to
you
her
you tapped
that,
right into truth in that conversation with her,
yeah,
because that's why
yeah,
she broke down, tapped straight in to
yeah.
truth.
She was like, what is that I see in all of you? She described it as a peace and a knowing. And she was like, there's just a peace and a knowing that you guys have, and I want that for myself. And I was like, I am really sorry to tell you that unfortunately there is nothing on
You don't
anybody's shelf
sell it in the store. You don't
that
have a,
you are good.
you have a jar over there of peace with that you give truth in.
I
And what
wish. I wish I'd be running around sprinkling it on everybody. I live in New York City. Are you kidding me? I would just be raining it down from the tallest buildings. I wish, right? But yeah, I was
that would
like,
be,
I'm really sorry to tell you
yeah,
that we
a magic
unfortunately,
pill, something. You don't have the magic pill for it. No,
no, no,
it
I
would be nice
don't.
it was
It would
a
be
self
so
benefit.
nice. It
And I
really
heard
would.
you saying that you've been practicing for 25 years, and I've been practicing for decades too. If between the both of us, decades of practicing, if we haven't found it, and we've probably been in witchy shops and
Oh my
metaphysical
gosh.
stores and beyond, maybe
Right.
what a lot of people would have done. If
Hmm.
together we haven't found it, it don't exist.
I don't think it's out there. Trust me, I would have it. I would have it and
Yeah,
I would be giving it out
we would give it to
freely.
you, actually. We would
Yeah,
give
I'd
it
be
away.
popping them like candies. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I had to kind of give her the bad news that like this peace and this knowing that you see from practicing witches doesn't come from any of the things we've ever bought. It doesn't come from any of the candles we've ever burned. It doesn't even come from any of the books that we've read or the learning that we've done. While those things may have helped, though, but what it comes from is that journey, which is like we said at the beginning, often uncomfortable, time consuming, stressful, scary, all of those things of pulling back all of those layers, blankets that are on top of the lamp and getting to the place where you realize that you are the light inside. And once you get to that place where you know it, then that peace and that knowing is just part and parcel of knowing yourself. And it's a big moment. And something that I said to the Better Witches last night was where I think a lot of us are on this journey is somewhere in the middle.
Mm,
Somewhere in the middle between not knowing yourself and being really limited because you're tied just to your physical existence, and
yes.
then where some of us, which is wonderfully graciously have gotten to the point where we do now know ourselves and know that we are limitless. And
Yeah.
probably most of the witches listening to us right now are somewhere in the middle
Oh, okay.
where, yeah, where maybe they believe that there is a true self because they
But they
see
haven't
other
really
witches
realization.
exercising it,
Yeah.
right? But they haven't yet had that moment where they know it.
Yeah,
And
the knowing. You
the
gotta have that.
knowing,
Yeah.
right? It's kind of like being in the room and in the room in the lamp analogy. It's like being in the room and having somebody tell you there's a lamp under those blankets, and you see this person, this being themselves is an uncovered lamp, and
Yes.
they're walking around, they're shining their light, and they're telling you you can do this too. You are also the lamp under the blankets, and I promise you it's in there. It's a journey that you're gonna have to go on to get there, but I promise you that it's in there. A lot of the witches in this audience, I think, would be in that place where they see it and they want it for themselves and they believe that they have that light inside, but they haven't yet gone through the journey of unveiling all of the layers to know it and be like, there it is. Now I'm glowing. And so I
And once you
encourage
see it,
everybody to go on that journey. Don't give up and don't be discouraged when you see other people's lights, you shine so brightly. Don't be tricked into believing that there's something paranormal, supernatural, mystical that is going on with that person. That person is literally doing the most natural, most basic thing. They are truly existing. And you can absolutely do it too.
you can. And once you do it, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. You
There's
can't
no
go
going back.
right. You can't unknow what you know. So once
Hmm.
you have that knowing, you are free to a level where you can never be a slave again.
Right. You know what? Something interesting. I am not on the TikTok. My shop
Oh, they
is.
would love you on TikTok.
You're on TikTok?
Yeah, I'm on TikTok for Christian witches. They probably would love you on TikTok.
Oh my gosh. It's a chaotic energy over there. It's a
That's what I
little
was thinking,
scary.
right?
I'll
Because
be
I'm getting
honest.
you.
Yeah, and it's also like another, yeah, like that's really one of the things that stopped me, honestly, because I've heard from many people that like, no, the algorithm's really good when you tell it what
Really
you
good
like to see, and that you're gonna just see,
yeah, they were
yeah, you're just gonna see the things you want, and it's a great way to get in front of people and all that stuff. And honestly, what has just held me back from really diving deep into it on my own is just my time just doesn't permit me to kind of try to wrap my head around another platform. So the shop is on it, and I, dabble a little bit in helping to run that page for the shop. But what I have heard from some folks is that apparently, and this is to be expected, right? Because we've had this big proliferation of the mainstreamification of witchcraft, and it's gotten kind of cool, and it's gotten, a lot more
it's
acceptable,
aesthetic
and
for some people. For some people,
yeah, it's an
one
aesthetic
moment
that people
with
like.
the two slippers, my
Oh,
daughter's brand new
oh
slippers from the puppy, and give him his toys because
no.
my daughter
Yes. He got into the slippers. Oh no.
my daughter will not
I think
hold
that's
him.
what's great about dogs though, because I have a cat and like I would love to train her to like bring me my slippers, but it's like,
Yeah. See, he wants these to be his toys. These are not his
oh,
toys. These are my daughter's brand new slippers that I just bought for her. And
okay.
if she comes back and these are all, to pieces, she'll be like,
Yeah.
Mom, were you
What,
watching him?
were you watching him?
Right. So he has toys, Mom. So I gave him his toys.
Oh, very good. That's a very, very good mom. Very good puppy mom.
I got to take
Um,
care of the mom. Yeah, I guess he's my grandbaby in some ways.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, and on TikTok, I guess there's like a new thing going on where you have a lot of witches, folks who carry the title at least, who are returning and fleeing, back to the church, and that is to be expected. Right? There's always a bubble. There's always an ebb and flow. You have all these people coming in to try out something that's new and cool and interesting, and whatever their motives or interests are. And then anytime we start getting into something for surface reasons, it's going to be really easy to go away from it because we never really like
Mm.
dived deep
So
into
this is
that.
these were a lot of maybe witches who were into the witchy aesthetic, but they didn't go deep into their practice. So when the wind came along, they blew another direction.
Exactly. I think that what happens there is that, no one can stop you from can call yourself a witch, and there's no ruling council to determine whether or not that's accurate or anything like that. So I think that for whatever reason, folks have found it cool, interesting, appealing, what have you, to call themselves witches, but have not actually gone on that journey to know the witch that they are. And
Mhm.
because it's very much the case that once you pull back all those layers and you exist as that pure light that you are, there is no going back from that. And so the only way for you to go back from that is if you started giving yourself a title that you didn't actually really embody in the first place. And I
It
had a
here. It wasn't in here. It was like
right.
maybe a cloak you wear, like you put on a cloak, a magic cloak,
Yeah.
and you get
Yeah,
it off.
exactly. A costume. It was a costume that you're
Mm.
wearing. I had a niece. I have a niece who is in the South and very much, in the church, and, kind of repeats those things that she hears and all of that stuff. And I guess she wasn't aware that I am a witch, and she wasn't aware of my life journeys. Why would she be? She's my niece. She's younger than me. I'm grown. You don't know what I got going on over here. But she found my YouTube videos and things like that, and I guess she completely incorrectly assumed that this must be something new in my life. And so out of nowhere, no, like, hello, how are you? How you doing? How you been? And this was like during the pandemic too, so it was like no concern for like how I was or anything like that. Just DMs me a YouTube video of some young lady who claimed that she was a witch and moved in with a Wiccan family and, started adopting their practices and all of that stuff. And then she saw the error of her ways and she's not a witch anymore. And now she's back to Jesus and, blah, blah, blah. And she just sends this to me. And I'm like, well, why'd you send this to me? And she's like, oh, it was just interesting. I just wanted to share it. And I was like, look, honey, you are barking up the absolute wrong tree. What this young lady went through, that's not happening over
That's not
here.
it.
So don't hold your breath. That young lady never came to know herself as a witch. She started running with certain circles, started acting out certain things. She put on the costume. She probably started wearing a little bit more black and things like that she thought made her look like a witch. But a witch that knows themselves, whether they call themselves a witch or not, because many
Right.
witches don't use that terminology.
That's
But
right.
when you know yourself,
Mhm.
there's no going back from not knowing yourself. Like you said, you can't unknow it. So if you were doing something hardcore for the last 6 months or 6 years even, and then you're able to like have an experience and turn the whole other way, you never knew
Mm,
yourself. You were just
mm,
doing something for a
mm.
while. And then you got bored with
You
it or got scared of it or whatever and stopped doing, but you weren't being that thing
being it.
because that is something that is it's not an action, it's a state of being. And that's something that doesn't change overnight, like, your interest in tarot cards or whatever.
Yeah. A way of being is not disposable.
Oh, that's another one. I'm jacking. A way of being is not disposable, right? You don't just take it off and toss it in the trash. It's not
No,
like that.
this is who I be. Even more than what I do, as you were describing, right? We have the things we do as witches, and some people look at the things we do and they say it's intriguing and it's mysterious and it looks cool. It is.
Hmm.
It's powerful. They want that. Yet they're not prepared to do what we did to have that.
Yeah, yeah. To really be something different
Mhm.
uh, than what we spent the first couple decades of our lives being. Um, uh, Very profound stuff, and I want to make sure that I honor your time this evening and everyone else's time that's been tuning into this conversation. So if you're okay with it, I'd love to take some of the questions that we've got in the Q&A box, and
I
make
would
sure that
love
we
it.
have time for that. Okay, awesome. Good, good. A reminder to those of you guys tuning in, if you haven't already dropped a question in the question Q&A box at the top of the chat, please go ahead and do so right now. We've got two questions in there. I'll start with the one that I saw come in first from Whatever Lolita Wants, Lolita Gets.
Oh,
Asks, yeah, I love that name.
oh,
Kaisi, how did you deconstruct Christian doctrine?
ooh, it took probably a good decade
Hmm.
to deconstruct fully because I heard a statement, a saying that I find to be true. Consciousness is like an onion, it has layers.
Hmm.
And the more you peel and the closer to the core you get, the stinkier it gets and the more you cry.
Mm.
And isn't that what healing has been a lot of times?
Oh my God, I cry so much.
Oh, we
So
cried, we
much
cried, we
crying.
bawled, we bawled, till sometimes
Yeah.
my eyes would look like two baseballs, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the deconstruction process is a takes time. It is a process. It takes time. And the best thing we can do is to allow and be graceful and be in the depths of self-love as we deconstruct, because you are literally ripping off a million band-aids. Now,
Mm.
we want to do that all at once? Probably not, right? And so the deconstruction for me was, okay, universe, I'm willing to let go of all of it. So disorienting.
Mm.
when I first let go, I was like, because everything, everything had been prescribed. How you pray, when you pray, you go to church or the holy house on this day. You say these prayers, you stand up, you sit down, you eat this way, you eat that way, you dress this way, you with these people, not those people. My entire life, they say people coming out of high control groups, like the cult I was in, the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses, have a form of PTSD. So you got to heal that too, because
Mm-hmm.
high control groups are really more damaging to the psyche than we know. So because it's a process, and because at times it's a scary process, because you literally have to drop everything you think about how the world works, because the world just does not work the way we were taught. And that's for everybody, not just people coming out of Christianity. The world doesn't work according to what they think in science, that matter is fundamental, and somehow you get the right components, mixture, and complex enough, and somehow consciousness is going to arise out of it, even though no scientist has ever proven it, or has not one mathematical equation or not one instance of creating it in a laboratory that tells us that. Yet, how many people believe that? People believe that we are physical, and that somehow consciousness arises from that. And that's just not how the world works. So
Mm-hmm.
once we find out how things really work, it is disorienting. Then I went through a stage of being angry. They lied to me. They lied.
Mm.
I was angry. Like they lied and they knew it was a lie. I went
Mm.
through the angry stage. And I
Yeah.
think that was a necessary stage as you're going through
Yeah.
deconstructing religion, and you find out that they made up the Trinity, they made up the resurrection of the body. Jesus' body is probably laying somewhere right now, somewhere in Rome. It's probably not even that. I mean,
Right.
truth be told,
Right.
right? And we know his mama wasn't a virgin, and we know that he had brothers and sisters. And so they made up the virgin birth. They made this up long after Jesus had passed, left the earth. They made up what he said, that he said he was God. He never said he was God. He said we're all the children of God. He never made up the Trinity, right?
Right.
He said that I and the Father are one, just as you and I are one. That we are all one with God, not that I am God, you worship me. He never told people to put a cross up, and you know, he never
Mm-hmm.
said any of that. He never said
Right.
any of that. He never said he was born of a virgin. He never said Mary Magdalene wasn't a prostitute. She was a very wealthy woman of a very pristine lineage, even.
Yeah. Landowning family.
Yeah, and she
Mm.
was a Jesus consort, his partner, and she was the one many times who got him away from the apostles, or who would tell him what was going on. No, we don't need to do that. You go over there. I'm going to tell them to go somewhere else. She really called a lot of shots, and she was his chief apostle or disciple. And there's even a gospel of Thomas, that says, why the apostles are arguing among themselves? Why do you love Mary more than you love us? And you kiss her on the lips all the time, like you're always kissing her, right? And it was clear. And why do you tell Mary things that you don't tell us?
Mm-hmm.
Because she was actually the receiver of the Christ, the true occult Christ message, right?
Right.
So when you realize they lied to you about Mary Magdalene, the Pope, I think it was Pope Benedict who said that Mary Magdalene was a prostitute. That was not so. They lied about the Trinity. They lied about the virgin birth. And once you find out that all this is made up and it's not even new, it would be one thing if it was all an original story. It's not an original
Right.
story. We've had the
Right.
story before with many other gods having some kind of miraculous birth. Somehow, when they die, somehow they rise up. And so you realize, wow, I got,
Yeah.
I got,
Bamboozled.
yeah, I've been bamboozled, like Malcolm X said, right?
Yeah.
Plymouth Rock, you land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on you. And now,
Mm-hmm.
what are you going to do about it? When the universe starts showing you these things, it starts popping up videos on YouTube, and it starts bringing books to you, and it starts bringing information to you. We have choices. We could say, no, 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 no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or we could say, okay, let me take a breath. Let me love myself through this. And let me open to universal wisdom. Let
Mm.
me, and let me accept and allow. And let me see the beauty of what I was taught. Though I know a virgin can't have a baby, that can't happen. Allie, do you know any virgins that had a baby? I
I
don't.
sure don't. I know a few like to pretend, but
I
you know what's up,
know a
girl.
virgin that had a baby.
You know what happened, girl.
You got busy, and here came Jesus, right?
Right.
So when they constructed all of that long after his birth, and they started to create these, um, stories, you can't see the deeper wisdom in the story if we're mad and we think it's a lie. So if we stay in the angry stage, we can't see, well, there's a reason why they told me these stories about the virgin birth.
Mm-hmm.
And where else does this occur? Oh, this occurs in this culture, in this culture. Oh, we really are one. We're all telling the same universal stories.
Mm-hmm.
Then we can get to the depth of what the stories really mean. And that we're
Mm.
no longer bound by the religious doctrine and dogma. We're enlightened. And then you truly will be at home. I can be in a mosque in the Middle East, garbed just like the women there. I can be in a temple in Bali, which would be a different Hindu temple than the temples I've been in India. I can be in China at the Dragon Gate Grotto with all these Buddhas. I can be in a sweat lodge with the shamans, and I can be in a sweat lodge with the shamans in Peru, sweat lodge in the Americas with a Lakota. I can be in a gospel church. I can be in a Catholic church. I have been in all of those, and I'm completely at home in all of them because it's all the same.
Right. Right. Wow.
They
I
just have
love so
different
much that
decoration.
you
Just different decoration.
different decorations, and I love so much that you thank you for that answer, and that you take a moment to focus on the different layers of the deconstruction process, and don't skip over that anger part, because I do
Yeah,
think that that is a part where we can get stuck. And I do think you see that from some witches that are deconstructing from their dogmatic ideologies, whether they're Christianity or something else, and they are visibly angry, and they
yeah,
become anti the church, or anti this deity or that god, this, because they're so angry about being, as Valentonia is saying, duped. You know, this feeling of being duped. And when we feel like we got played, we got lied to, it's very understandable that one of the steps in the processing of that is anger, especially when you do look at the intentionality behind the dupement, and how it has served.
to do this.
That's
This
not a
wasn't.
word. But you have, people literally have made money, have gained power, have, benefited themselves immensely, all by either creating these lies or perpetuating them, even though they know that they're not true. And it's very much understandable, I think, if you are going on a journey of deconstructing from any type of ideology, that anger happens. But I really thank you for articulating why it's important to move beyond that anger, because that being stuck at that spot could actually hold you back.
It does.
Um,
It's an energetic block. The other thing
yeah.
it has too is the guilt. Because a lot of people coming out of Christian experiences, or maybe just any kind of religious experience, even as I've heard Islamic people speak about this as well, is that guilt. Am I doing something wrong? Especially when we go to witchcraft and we gravitate to maybe the ATRs, African traditional religions, or we're called to hoodoo, or we're called to something Wicca, or we feel the pull. It's like irresistible. And then guilt comes up. Should I be doing this? Second guessing yourself with the dialogue in the back of the head. All that, we can put that to the side. We can say, well, if the universe put it in front of me, there's a reason why it's in front of me. There's a reason why this crystal shop is in front of me right now. I'm going in this crystal shop. And
Right.
I've never seen anybody get struck by lightning going into a crystal shop. We've just
Right.
never seen it happen, right?
Yeah.
So we can breathe. And when we see the guilt come up, we can acknowledge it. Oh, okay, I'm feeling guilty. And I'm going to do it anyway. Because as you keep going on the hero's quest, you move past all these energies. You'll meet them on the
Right.
road.
Right.
If you keep going, you will pass all of them. And then you'll have some real, I have so much empathy for some of the people that come on TikTok, because we have the Christian Witches TikTok. And you can imagine there are thousands of comments on there. And a lot of them are spicy Christians.
Yeah. Yeah. I can only imagine. I can only imagine. I get a few
Yeah,
every month on my YouTube, but YouTube's kind of more insular than TikTok. So there are
right.
fewer people that come across me than I
And we
imagine on that type of platform.
Yeah, and we get a lot because Christian is part of what we do. So the algorithms think that we're for Christians. And so
Right.
because we talk about Christ consciousness, we talk about, hey, little guy, now he has one moment. Now he
Yeah.
has
Take your
the other
time.
two, right? Now he has
He's
the
all for the shoes. Listen,
shoes,
I can relate. I love a good shoe.
the toys. It's the toys, little guy.
And
Okay.
they're always gonna, your pets are always gonna love like the stuff they're not supposed to touch more than any of the toys or things you buy for them. My cat
Toys will
never
make you
touches anything we buy her, but like leave your sock on the floor, that's, you'll never see it again.
it's a whole new thing. Hey, come here, you. Come here. Put that shoe back. He's like, oh, I think I got another toy now. So give me one moment and I am
Hmm.
going to get him to
Yeah, take time.
come
Let me check and see if there's any more questions.
Mhm. There you go. So he's gonna go back in his crate for a little bit. And let's see, because we've been doing a lot of fun running around, having lots of fun. Thank you, Allie, for giving me permission to take
Oh, of course.
a quick
Of
moment.
course. I'm so glad I record these episodes like this now. It's so much more just like loose.
So much more forgiving that you can actually make a mistake. And you
Yeah,
don't
and I
feel
make
like,
a lot, so that
"Oh,
works.
I messed up the whole podcast." You don't have to feel like that anymore.
Mm-mm.
So um because we have this guilt, anger, these stages, we're peeling off all of that, and we're coming home to the true self. Your true self knows, and your true self knows what's right for you. And I trust what myself leads me to. I trust that.
Hmm. That's beautiful. And there are several questions from Val Antonia. I'm going to, in the interest of time, kind of string them a little together because they're sort of related. The first question I'll tackle, though, Val Antonia asks, is there anything to fear about the occult practices? And what I would say about that is there is nothing to fear about anything. Fear is something that you make up. It's not that things are scary. It's that you decide that you're going to be unsure about them. And that you're going to treat that lack of knowledge with respond with fear. So it's not like there's some objective thing about occult practices that is harmful, scary, or what have you. It's just how you look at things, and you make the decision with all of your emotions whether or not to have them. And I think that is definitely something that as humans, getting to know yourself really helps with because you get to understand that your emotions are just chemical responses in your physical body that are fired off in response to external stimuli. Your body wants to survive. And so it is programmed to respond with fear and hesitancy over anything that it doesn't know so that it doesn't accidentally get too close to something that is dangerous or that might harm it, that might kill it. And so fear, love, joy, sadness, all of these emotions are just your body firing off chemicals and hormones in order to protect you from a perceived threat. But that doesn't mean that that thing is actually scary or dangerous or harmful in any way. Your body is just responding that way. So I want to address that quickly and say there isn't anything to fear about any practice if you don't want to feel fear. there may be things about occult practices that you don't know or understand yet, and so you therefore may be responding in a fearful way. But the easiest way to overcome that is to get to know those things so that you're not responding from fear. And I hope that answered your question there. But Valentina also asks, how can you work on your relationship with God when you have other practices and no building to go to? So I guess she's referring to how church can facilitate the relationship with God, but when you start exploring other practices, more spiritual practices, occult practices, you may not have like a central location where you can work on your relationship with God. What would you say to that, Val?
3 words, and I'm going to look in the camera for this. Look at me. Ye are gods. You are the representation of God, goddess. You are the representation of source. You are it. So you don't have to look for what you are.
Or be in a building to build a relationship with it.
There's nothing you need. Ye
Yeah.
are gods. It says it in the Bible. Ye are gods. Have I not told you? So we get to understand that and to reclaim, right, power that we kind of let go when we were sort of in our vulnerable places. We were 3, 4, 5, maybe we were kids. We didn't know the people were feeding us, so we had to kind of do what they said, and we were going along and we were giving away power. The pastor can tell us what to do. Okay, well, the pastor can tell us what to do. Your teacher tells you what to do. So we gave away an immense amount of power to quote unquote authority figures outside of self. It's time to reclaim that power and to know all of the power is right here for you.
Yeah.
All your power is right here, right now. All of it.
Right.
There is no more power to get out there somewhere. And it was very difficult for me when I was letting go of the idea of a personal God, like he's a person and it's a him and he has kids, but he doesn't have a wife. How does that happen? I don't know, right?
Yeah.
Nature.
This
But
dude.
this is what they tell us, right? There's no mother, but there's the father, and that he was a person. So a big thing in me was letting go of God as a person. I became an atheist to the person God. I'm not an atheist. I don't believe in a God that is a person.
Right.
That's not it, for me anyway. So knowing that this all powerful source is you, it's right here, right now. Close your eyes, go within. It's right here, right now. This is God, right here, right now. So I love how the Quran puts it, because the holy books do help us. For the ones that resonate for us, just read them, right?
Yeah.
It says God is closer to you than your neck vein.
Wow.
Right here. God is right here.
Right.
Don't need to talk. So there's really no relationship that you have to build with God, because you are the energy that is God.
Yeah. It's a relationship with yourself, your true self, that needs to be built. And Mad Clip 74 says, if you have a dual belief, it makes you double danger.
Ooh, wow. Okay, I like it.
The Christian would have those dual beliefs.
Oh, do we have dual beliefs? We don't have dual beliefs. I don't have dual beliefs. I can't speak for all Christian witches, because Christian witches are all over the world, and we're diverse in how we approach it, because it's a spiritual path. It's not a religion. We don't have dogma. We don't have doctrine. Being a Christian witch is very simple, because Jesus was a Christian witch. Most Christians, I would offer, are Christian witches. They just don't know that they're practicing magic. They don't know that they're doing candle magic. Every birthday party is, if you have candles, you make a wish, you blow them out. This is candle magic. Every Christian that has been to a Catholic church knows that they're doing sorcery in the Catholic church. Incense, a sublimation of your own will to follow their will. So I often say on the Christian Witches platforms that the people who told you not to use magic used magic on you. They used
Mm,
witchcraft and magic on you. And you've
that
got,
part.
didn't they? Didn't they?
Yes. Wow.
And you've got to learn what it is. So that I didn't know that we were doing magic. Now, we were doing magic in a Christian church. Christian churches do magic. Christians and magicians have always been strange bedfellows from the very beginning. And why is that? Because Christianity sprung up. What was the birth of Christianity? The birth of Christianity was right there in Rome, where I call it the Christian church. That's not what I follow. I follow life and teachings of Christ, hence Christian, right? Life and teachings of Christ, not a religion. It's a spiritual path for me. Well, when the Christian church was formed, it was formed in Rome, and it was formed after the actual formal Christian religion, right? It was formed in Rome, and it came after decades, actually hundreds of years, centuries of debate between bishops in different places about what do we believe. The bishops were debating back and forth about what we believe, and you can read their letters, and some of them were attacking other ones. They're all supposed to be followers of Christ, right? But it wasn't called Christian, it was called the way, followers of the way. And you had some Christians that were in the people who followed the way that were in North Africa, some in, all through the Levant, the Mediterranean, some in Rome, all through that whole region. And it had spread all over. And what did you have before that? Pagan people. And so did all the pagan people drop all the pagan things they did and just pick up this new thing? No, we do what humans always do. We integrate. We don't leave behind our gods and goddesses. We don't leave behind our practices. We do what the slaves did through the Middle Passage. Oh, you don't want us to call them Orisha? We'll call them saints, and we have Santeria. Right? We're going to integrate this, and you will never know that we are still carrying our same African traditional religion from the motherland. And now we've put it in a package that is amenable to the colonizer.
Right.
We didn't leave our gods and goddesses behind. We didn't leave our heart worship and soul practices behind. No group of people ever left them behind. They say that in Haiti is 99% Catholic, is 90% Catholic and 99% voodoo. Oh, they Catholic. And if you go to any of the Haitian neighborhoods, I love Haitian neighborhoods in Miami. If you go to Little Haiti, you will see a church here, there. And in between every church, you will see a botanica.
Yeah.
With all the candles, they're in the CVS. And who's buying them? The people that are in the church are buying them. They go to the church and they go and get the candles. And we've always done that. So this is not anything new to us. Humans have always done this. We've always integrated. We've always iterated. We meet up with people who have a great practice and it works. Hoodoo has got strands from German, strands from Africa, strands from Native American, strands from Appalachian folk magic, because it works. We're like, oh, I like that. Can I use it too? And we fuse it into a workable system. And humans have always done that.
Right.
And so we do not understand how humans and spirituality work. We work what works. That's what humans. If it works, we're going to work it. If it doesn't work, we're going to get rid of it. So we're not throwing away things that work. A long time ago in Indonesia, part of Indonesia, not Bali, Jakarta and the larger part of Indonesia, there was sort of a forced conversion to Islam, right? It didn't happen in Bali. So what they say is that a lot of people, they're Islamic on the outside, they're Hindu on the inside. It's a conversion. And you can't force people to do something another way. Whatever you try to force just goes underground. They're going to still do it.
Yeah, which is why it makes so little sense for us to fight with each other about these things, because they're all just different paths. So and this is a conversation, the bigger question of sentience, of knowing yourself, of who you are as a witch, is something that is addressed and tackled in your upcoming book, which I am so excited to be a contributing author in. I have submitted a personal story of my own journey actually recently unfolding. Yes, I'm so excited. I'm like, this is
I should
new
have had.
for me.
Let me bring it because
Yeah, if you have a copy, yeah, go ahead, grab it for folks to take a look. For those who are interested, this is a book being published by Common Sentience, hence today's title and topic, and it is called Witch. And look at that, there it is, beautiful. It's called Witch, Divine Alignment with the Primordial Energies of Magic and Cycles of Nature. And I have contributed just a short story in there about my mom's own recent health issues and, helping her through those things with the things that I have learned along the way and her process of trying to figure out what to call me. And kind of,
I love this.
getting her, thank you, kind of getting her to the place where she's comfortable with saying, my daughter is a witch, and she will pull out all these different words. And I'm like, if you put them all together, it is, I am the witch.
There is Discovering the Witch Within, BronxWitch,
I
page
love
193.
that.
There you are.
Thank you. That's so cool. See
With all
myself
these
in a
other
book.
incredible witches.
This is
Yes.
very
These
new
are
for me. That is
amazing.
so cool. Yeah, I'm really excited about this book. It's a great collection. So for folks who are interested, the book is coming out this October. There's going to be a launch party up in Salem, Mass. I'm going to
On
be
my
there, you guys,
birthday,
on
you're gonna be
on
there. Talk to people
Kaisi's
in the audience.
birthday.
Oh my
Okay,
goodness.
Libras stand up. Very exciting. So I have never done, like a traveling speaking engagement. So this will be a first time for me. I'm super, super excited to sit with all of these other esteemed practitioners and talk about our experiences, and also just to give lots of love and support to Reverend Valerie Love on this successful book launch. So we will be carrying copies of the book here at the shop in HQ. So be on the lookout for that, guys. Our copies are on the way. It is in pre-order right now, and it will be available wherever books are sold in October. So you'll be able to grab a copy if you don't get it from the shop. But and if you're in Salem, stay tuned. Follow Christian Witches on all of the different platforms, and follow me on my Instagram at Alysha Kravetz, or here on YouTube, because I'll definitely be posting more information if you're interested in getting a ticket and coming to the launch party. Val Antonia says, I may have to travel for this. I'm really excited. I'm going to take the day beforehand and let myself explore Salem a little bit and hang out. I might link up with some of my witchy friends up there, have lunch and stuff like that. So if any of the Bronx Witch or Better Witch community is out there, hit me up. I'll be in Salem on October 4th, and I can't wait.
Have you ever been to Salem to kind of explore? And I think you said you went through one time. Huh?
Yes, I've never, there are so many hotspots that surprisingly I have never been, because I'm very much a Bronx bird and I'm always here.
I understand.
But I'm really excited to check out Salem, especially in Witchy Month in
That's
October, but not at Halloween. I'm like, that feels like the best time.
yes. And every year in October in Salem, they have what's called Haunted Happenings. And Haunted Happenings is the whole month of October. So it's super witchy. Everyone in Salem is a witch. Everyone's walking down the street with a witch hat on. It is witch squared. Okay. Witch.
I'm going to wear my hat. I'm just going to come and walk around and wear my hat. I cannot do that in the Bronx. I mean, I could, and I definitely have, but it's a lot of conversations.
Yeah, all of it. All of it. It's
Love it.
all, no one would even bat an eye. You walking down the street in October in Salem
That's a
with
dream come true.
witch, full regalia.
Yes.
You could go full regalia witch,
Oh my
and no
God.
one would bat an eye.
I have to get a cape.
Yeah.
I need a rope. Oh my
This is
God, I'm gonna go all the way.
really
Yes,
fun.
I love that. That is so cool. So, yeah,
We're
if
not
you could
paying
please
tickets,
tell.
so people can get tickets, and the venue is a little. It's a tiny venue, so I know it's going to sell out fast.
Mhm.
So the tickets are at my website at valerielove.com. So yeah.
Yes, I was just going to ask that. Wonderful. Yes, so valerielove.com is where you can get tickets to the book launch / Kayce's birthday party. I will be in attendance. I will be speaking. So you're definitely going to see familiar faces if you get a ticket and come. And you're going to be in Witch Central USA. So you're going to be able to meet up with lots of people or just explore and really enjoy what seems like a place where you can be really free and be your witchy self. And not all of us get the luxury and the privilege of being able to do that. So I invite all of you guys to head up to Salem, Massachusetts, October 4th. It's in the evening. You can get more information at valerielove.com. Get your tickets. It is a ticketed event, so you're definitely going to want to grab a ticket before they sell out. And I will see you there. And can you tell us the official launch date and where else people can get the book?
Yes. So the official launch date for the book is my birthday. It's October 4th. So right now you can pre-order and you can read a free excerpt. Also, I have a free excerpt on both websites, on valerielove.com and on christianwitches.com, right on the front page of both the websites, since we're in the big book launch right now. And so though the book doesn't come out until the 4th of October, you can pre-order now so that you can get your copy as soon as it comes out on the 4th of October, which is my birthday. I'm so thankful. You can read that free excerpt. And oh my goodness, the excerpt is just, we just
Juicy.
yeah. You know what I love about this book, Allie? It's collaborative. It's all of us. I don't feel like I'm the author of this book. I feel like I'm an author in this book with so many other amazing witches. Like I'm reading the stories, because I've read the stories a few times as we were putting the book together. And I sat there, these stories are amazing. They're amazing stories. There's
Yeah.
a book like this one. It's very unique. It's very different. It's got 3 parts to it. It talks about understanding the witch in the first part 1. Part 2 is these amazing stories, as you can see. Part 3 has got some rituals in there for really getting into practice. So I've just never read a book like this one. So I pray everyone loves it.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited to get my copy. Check it out, guys. Pre-order wherever books are sold, or keep your eyes out for it being available here at the shop very soon if you'd prefer to get it from HQ. But I just want to thank you so, so much for being here with us again, Val. This has just been an incredible chat. Just scraping the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg, because there's so much that we can talk about. But I want to encourage everybody to check out valerielove.com, christianwitches.com, and check out the books that Valerie has already authored and that are already available, because she's got over 20 in her arsenal that tackle the topics that we have been talking about today, and that offer a lot of advice and guidance that's very practical for how you can go on this journey of uncovering all of those layers that might be drowning out your light, that might be preventing you from seeing who you truly are, what you truly are, and from really showing up in this world as your most authentic self. And as I said at the top, I'm very grateful that you've dedicated your life and your work to this topic, and being a source of guidance for people who are like me, like you, who grew up maybe in dogmatic traditions and experiences and are looking for something more, something better. Because when we know better, we witch better. So thank you so much for being here.
And lots of love and blessings on you, Allie HQ, the Better Witch podcast, and your new coaching program. I don't know if it's new, your
It
coaching
is.
program. Oh,
Yeah.
your new baby. We love that. So many blessings,
Yeah.
all for success in all your work. I love how you do what you do, and you have got it ordered and you are on it. And I've been on a lot of podcasts, and and now we've got so many podcasts and interviews coming up, and they're all different. Different people operate differently. So I like how you operate. I like how you do.
Thank you. Thank you. Shout out to New Moon and Virgo energy. I'm all about getting it together. So,
That's right.
yeah, thank you so, so much. So, that's the end of the actual conversation, the main focus of the conversation here. So, what I'll do is I'll let you go off into the evening. I'll take you out of the stream, but I just want to remind you, if you don't mind, please leave the actual studio window open. You're going to see a little indicator telling you that everything is uploading. And then as soon as that's done, you can go ahead and exit the studio. And hopefully it doesn't take too long. I did it last night. And it was about 15 minutes or so for it to fully upload. The stronger your Wi-Fi connection, the faster it will go. So give it some time. And of course, if you have any troubles while that's happening, feel free to shoot me an email. I'll still be here letting my side upload, so I won't be gone in case you need me for anything. And stay tuned for an email from me in the next month or so with an official date for the audio version on podcast platforms.
Oh, yay. So happy to be here. Thank you for a
Thank you
discussion
so
of delicious
much. Of
food. Thank
course. Yes. Have a beautiful rest of the night. Shout out to Books
you.
and your daughter and everybody.
Yes.
I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of the night.
Oh, thank you too, Allie. Take care.
Absolutely. All right, guys. It's just us in the studio. So now is the time for me to go ahead and record my outro. Thank you guys for being here so, so much. I appreciate you. This was a long one tonight. So thank you so much for hanging out. And I definitely pray that this conversation was interesting and kept you captivated. It looks like, we've had a good group of people in the room for pretty much the whole thing. So I thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you for submitting your questions. If I didn't get to your question, my apologies. I wanted to be conscious of time and honor our guests' time. So definitely make sure to pop into the next episode for sure. Thank you, Lauren Berg. Yes, I'm so glad. I feel really honored to be, leading the way here on the Better Witch podcast. And it's really cool that it's my job to bring these voices to you. And I'm glad that you guys are benefiting from it. So here we go. Thank you, witches, for tuning in to this episode of season 3 of the Better Witch podcast. Remember, no matter where you're tuning in from, we want to know what you think about today's episode. So make sure to leave us a review wherever you are. A special thank you to our sponsors who made this episode possible. You can support this podcast by grabbing some sweet merch over in the Beyond BronxWitch merch shop, sponsoring an episode with an ad spot, or following us on Instagram at BetterWitch Podcast. Remember, witches, when we know better, we witch better. See you in the next episode, and blessed be. All right, guys, that's a wrap. What is a wrap? It's late in here, and we have a huge pile of boxes that need to go to the trash. I close up the shop. I imagine Shop with Chelsea's probably waiting for me to get out of this room so she can finish closing down the shop. So I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you all so, so very much. You're all super dope. I appreciate you for being here, and have a great rest of the night. Just a heads up, we will be meeting with Janine DeOya, the author of Portal of Light. She has booked a recording session for September 28th. We'll definitely probably have some folks grab dates before that. So I can't say that she'll be the next one, but that is the next one that's already been scheduled. So definitely make sure if you see the post on this channel, you might see it in the list of videos. Set your notifications so you get notified about that one. Portal of Light is the only book that I know of that is a primer on Wicca from an African American perspective. Okay, bet you never seen that before. So I'm very excited to talk to Janine with you guys. So lots of cool stuff coming up for the recording of this season. And yeah, I'm going to let you guys go. Have a great rest of the night. Thank you, Nisi. Thank you, Valentonia. Thank you, Laurenberg. I will check you guys soon. Blessed be.